Boom. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're off. We're going to embark on a voyage today filled with valuable insight and wisdom gained from racing yachts to steering businesses towards success. So let's get this show started. Here we go.
Shut up and sit down.
Look, a business can give you everything you want in life: prestige, wealth, freedom. It can also take everything away from you. This show is for those who are willing to take that risk. These are the real life stories of entrepreneurs. But before we start, I have one small favor to ask. Please leave a comment. It can be advice, critiques, tips, feedback, or share this with someone because your engagement is the most valuable and most powerful form of social currency. So thank you, and welcome to another episode of Business Bros. All right, business bros, here we go. Today we got an episode with a fascinating guest who sailed the seas of engineering, leadership, and entrepreneurship. So he's got an inspiring point of view and is a professional EOS implementator. Can forget the ends every once in a while, right? As we explore the lessons he learned from designing multi-million-dollar racing yachts to helping businesses chart a course to success. So in this episode, we're going to dive into his unique career journey from coaching teams to victories in the world's most demanding races to become a leader of the top yacht design company. So let's get this show on the road. Let's welcome to the show, Mr. Stephen Morris.
Hey, thanks.
Sometimes we got a little delayed click there. Sorry about that, Stephen. Welcome to the show, man.
Yeah, thanks so much. Thanks for having me. It's great to be here.
Of course. Let's get this first one out of the way. The question that I always ask at the beginning has to do with the reason why people come on the show. They come on the show to promote something, a service, a product, a business that they're into. So what is that for you?
Well, I just love helping business owners and leadership teams get what they want from their businesses. And, as you said in your intro, business out there is hard enough as it is. I've got a complete proven system of a simple set of practical tools. Just helps get a leadership team together, help them elevate and take the business to the stars.
Let's talk a little bit about your background, how you got here. I mean, yours is kind of an incredible journey. I never really talked to people who are in the yacht business. Tell me a little bit about your background. What was it like being in that industry?
Well, I had a really interesting start to my career. Like my first job out of college was on a professional sailing team. Now, my accent's from New Zealand. That's where I grew up. And New Zealand's this tiny little island right in the South Pacific. And so sailing and yachting is a really big thing in the country. So first job, as I said, right out of college, I'm on this professional sailing team that studied engineering. Next thing I find, I'm in the gym at 6 o'clock in the morning and lifting weights and trying to get strong to go out and sail on this boat and to be part of the team, getting the boat ready to go sail around the world. And so it was an amazing introduction for me to really, how do you bring together a really great team, right? A group of people that have got each other's backs and are all, literally sailing in the same direction, right? Being able to really elevate each other and get to, these inspiring goals, right? Being able to go and sail around the world and try to win a round the world yacht race.
Now, implementing team dynamics in a team sport, I feel is often easier than trying to implement team dynamics in a corporate setting, although there's a lot of parallels in between. What are some of the things that you felt you learned while in the yacht industry, while building that team and trying to be a championship organization? How does that kind of parallel to what you did in the corporate space as growing teams?
Yeah, well, that's, this is a really great question, right? I mean, what are those parallels? What are the connections? And I'll tell you, it starts with trust, right? Building trust on a team is an absolutely foundational thing. And I think applying in sports, high performance, or in a business environment, when you can bring a group of people together, you start trusting one another. Right. And this is what I was sort of talking about before, a group of people who have got each other's backs, where you kind of really know who you've got on the team, how they're acting, what they're going to do in given situations, but also trusting that when you need help, like someone's going to come in for you and be there for you, right? To be able to help you. And so those parallels, between sport and business are right there, and they come around building trust as a foundation.
When did you decide that you were gonna leave the sport and go into the business aspect of your career? I mean, at some point, hitting the gym. I mean, I still hit the gym, I still work out, but not for a competitive basis, more for like just kind of, to stay in shape. But you had to make a transition and go into the business aspect. What was that like?
Well, so my whole career was sort of like this big arc of that. And so going from actually being part of a team, getting this boat ready to sail around the world, I ultimately came here to the US to design the actual sailboats themselves because I'd studied as an engineer at college. And so now I started to work and to be on these teams where we're bringing together designers, the best boat builders in the world, and Olympic class sailors, like these groups of people, to be able to build the entire campaign. It's like a Formula One. It's not just the race car driver, but there's the whole larger team that ultimately results in the win. And so I got to experience like some amazing teams, like being on these teams where we're all bringing together this large group of people with the ultimate goal of let's go win a round the world yacht race. But I was also on some teams that didn't make it, right? Despite having the resources that we needed. And I've seen a $5 million racing yacht like broken in half and about to sink because of team dysfunction. And there's really, at that stage, in my career, I was like trying to figure out like why is this team not coming together, right? Like why is one team amazing and this team over here, we're not working together so well. And I just didn't have the tools at the time to figure that out. And that really sort of drove this passion in me to like go on an arc in my career to learn and to find out like how do we really build those really great teams, which brings me ultimately to what I do today.
And then you mentioned at the beginning that you have a framework that you use to kind of help build these teams together. Walk me through that framework. What is that?
Yeah, so it's called the Entrepreneurial Operating System, EOS. And EOS was developed originally 15 years ago, but we've now used it in over 25,000 businesses here in the US and around the world. And at its heart, this process that I take my clients through is helping them with three things that we call vision, traction, and healthy. So vision, I work with my clients to figure out like, what is the vision for their business? Where are you going? Like, how, where is it you want to take the business and how are we going to get there? And then the traction piece is really just becoming much more disciplined and accountable, like masters of execution, bringing that vision to reality. And healthy is just making sure they're all working together as a healthy, functional, cohesive team. And this ties right back to my days on those sailing boats of making sure that when we're all a healthy team, I know that we can achieve so much more together.
Vision is one of the things that could be very nice and fluffy. It sounds really good. People might be able to kind of see an idea of where you want to go, but the way you're describing vision has to be much more detailed so that everyone on the team knows exactly where we're going, why we're going in that direction, and kind of buys into the entire process. How do you get a team to really dive deep and find that vision maybe together? Or does the CEO do it? Like, how do you get them like in that same situation so they all can clearly see and envision this future that they're working towards?
Well, when I'm working with the leadership team, and that's what I do, it's like not just the CEO, but it's the whole leadership team. I'm taking them through a process and I'm asking them like a lot of questions that make up components of their vision. And the first thing is what are their core values, right? What's that simple set of guiding principles that define the culture of their organization? Who are they as a team? Who are they being as a team? And so I take them through a process to discover what these are. And then we use those core values to attract more people onto the team who fit that, and also importantly use those core values to repel people they don't want on the team, right? And so this is one component, when you start bringing together a group of people who share a set of core values, then we're now much more aligned and we can start really working towards that ultimate vision. So there's a lot of different components to getting that vision in place, but it starts with core values.
Let me ask you about those core values, because I feel like when you have a team dynamic like that, I think it's a great collaborative activity to come up with what are we really focused on at the core. And sometimes when you have that solo entrepreneur, coming up with some core values for growth almost seems like that's not important. I know myself, but I know the value in having them written down. Is there a specific number of core values, a framework for core values that we should kind of maybe think about as a template to help people kind of get that? And what's the value of having them written down?
These are great questions. So in the work that I do with my clients, I'm always aiming to keep things as simple as possible. So I say 3 to 5 core values, right? Not 23, not 35. Let's just keep this simple. What are 3 to 5 things that really define you guys at your core? And keeping them written down, but then more than that, it's baking them into the way you live and breathe in your business. And so part of what I'm doing is teaching my clients tools to basically go and assess, like everybody in the business, like how are they doing with living the core values? Are they showing up every day in the business? And then I'll teach my clients to do other things like recognize people in the business, to be able to stand up like once a quarter and say, hey, I'd like to give an award for the person who went above and beyond right in the business, if that's one of their core values. And so there's a lot of tools that I'm teaching my clients that you really start living these core values day in and day out. They're not just something posted on the wall. It's how you're actually running the business and reinforcing them day in and day out, and who we are and who we're being as a team in this business.
It's much more than just words on paper. You're saying these are the way that your company operates. It's what really embellishes and you see it in your company culture because of those core values that are built in. Now, you said that leads to the traction section of your 3-step process here. So how does that transition into traction, and how do you hold that accountability true to those core values?
Well, in EOS, we've got this great saying, vision without traction is hallucination. And I've been there. You can sit around a boardroom table all you want, talk about strategy. And if you don't do anything about it, if you don't get traction, if you don't execute, you get to the end of the year and it's like, what happened, right?
Yeah.
Why didn't we bring our strategy to reality? So the traction piece is bringing your vision down to the ground and executing day in and day out in the business. And so we have a whole bunch of tools that enable bringing that vision down to the ground. One of them is we set rocks with our clients. I know that sounds like a weird name, but rocks are 90-day business priorities. Rocks are big things, right? What are these big things that we need to achieve in the business? And then we put a meeting pulse into the business where we're meeting every single week, always reviewing our progress and figuring out like what's getting in our way, what's slowing us down, what's ticking us off. And these things happen in the business. It's natural because we're human beings. And it's great. We want to see this stuff. We want to have come and bubble up to the surface so we can do something about it. So there's, once again, these tools are really making sure that we're taking that vision, bringing it down to the ground and executing day in and day out.
I heard a saying one time from one of my mentors. He said, there's no such thing as $1 million idea, only $1 million execution. And I feel like that's what you're describing here is, yeah, we have our core values. Now we can sit around and discuss strategy, but without the implementation, without that execution, nothing is really going to happen. It's going to be a great idea that you wish you would have implemented somehow, some way in the future, but it never actually happens. And these accountability traction points that you're describing, these are the things that are getting you from point A to point B, almost in a grueling way, but they're the steps that you need to take in order to get to that next level. Last one you had is healthy. So I'm assuming here that you have a vision for your company, you have those activities, but not every single day is going to be that high motivation of getting things done. And so you got to find ways to keep that kind of energy up. Explain to me what you mean by that healthy side.
Yeah, well, so once again, it comes back to this foundation of trust, right? And so we spend a lot of time really looking at that and working on it, because the thing is that when you have trust in a team, then you can engage in what I'm going to use the word conflict, right? But I'm going to say it's healthy conflict, healthy debate, right? Not mean-spirited, attacks and things like that. We want to be able to have a team that really kind of leans in with their passion and debates ideas and is really like trying to get to the ultimate truth of the good of where we're taking the business and growing the business. And what I've seen is, sometimes with teams that don't have that foundation of trust, there's silence in the room. No one's saying anything. There's no issues, nothing to see here. Move along. We have this artificial harmony, or else people are sitting back in their chairs saying, I'm not going to say anything here. That's not productive, right? Because everybody has wonderful ideas and has knowledge that we want to bring to the team. And so building on that foundation of trust, then when people trust each other and have that vulnerability-based trust, then they can lean in and have healthy debate, that be passionate about things and know that, we can go toe to toe on stuff, not to be, personal about it, but for the good of the business. And once you've had your debate, right, once you've had the arguments and then making a decision, then the team that's debated and made a decision can commit to those ideas. And I think that that's something that I've seen, right, in my career, is sometimes, you've been in meetings and a decision gets made, but then people walk out of that meeting and like everybody's just kind of like rolling their eyes saying, I'm not going to follow that, right? I'm not going to do that. Um, and if we have an environment like that, then it's just you're spinning your wheels, right? We're not getting the traction in the business. So we want to have that foundation of trust so we can have the passionate debate, make decisions, and then commit to those decisions. Be all in about running the business.
I've been part of teams where you sit in meetings and you'll ask a question. And I always find there's two types of people that you find in those organizations that are not connected. It's the ones that you said, the ones that sit back and, don't talk, don't call on me. I'm okay. Everything's great. The quiet ones. But then the other side of that is the yes men, right? That all of a sudden the CEO's right. Every idea is great. He's funny because everything he says is all his jokes land. You're not getting anywhere when your team is afraid of you or not willing to talk to each other. And that is a difficult thing to build in a company. When you come in from the outside to kind of fix that organization, I'm reminded of the book that I read, Relentless. It's the story about coaching different athletes, the guy who coached Michael Jordan. And he talks a lot about how Michael Jordan would kind of be on a team and forget sometimes that he's trying to elevate the team to come with him because he's such a competitive person. And I feel like there's entrepreneurs in this space who kind of have the same issue sometimes. They're very competitive. They want to win, but they don't always set an environment where their team can be a part of that conversation. It's my way or the highway. I'm sure you've seen it. How do you fix an organization that you walk in and you can tell it's the boss's show and there is no vulnerability there? There is no sharing or any type of energetic debate because it just doesn't exist in that culture. How does one go around and fix that?
Hmm. Well, this is a great question, and you're exactly right. It's about creating an environment, and it starts at the top, right? And so when I work with my clients, I establish at the beginning of every single one of our meetings Like my expectations for being here is that we need to have open and honest discussions, right? So if you're feeling like you are holding things back, if you're not going to say something, then we need to figure out, we need to go there. We need to, as we call it in our world, we need to enter that danger and we need to have that discussion. But you're making a very good point, which is not everybody, has created that environment where people feel safe to be able to do that. And so as a coach, what I need to do is to be able to try to sort of get to know the team well enough that I can suss out when I feel like something's not being said, right? When I feel that people are holding back, when I feel that people aren't sort of bringing their open and honest to the table, my role in working with my clients is I've got to call that out and we have to go there and we have to have that discussion. But ultimately, it does come down to the leader has to create the opening to allow that to happen. And that's where I sort of see that every leader needs to really start working on themselves, because if they are coming from a place of shutting down, that input, if they're coming from a place of their idea is the only right idea and not allowing the discussion, then the weight's going to stay on their shoulders forever, right? They're just going to have to white knuckle it through to the finish. They're not building a team. So it's not an easy thing, and I don't have a magic wand, and there's no simple answer to it, but it's about the dynamics, right? And I'm leaning in with the team. I'm trying to figure out what's going on, trying to call stuff out as I see it. And then as I get to know the teams better, then I start to also involve them in the process. And so starting to sort of say to a team, who are you going to be today in this meeting? Right? Are you going to sit back or are you going to lean in? Are you going to let stuff go past or are you going to grab it and let's go there? Like, who do you want to be as a team? And I truly believe that most people, and I'm saying 99.9% of people, they want to come to work and do a great job. They want to contribute. Like, people want to be able to be part of a team that takes a business somewhere. That enthusiasm and that love for the company, and let's bring the team together and create the environment that allows the conversation to happen.
Not just that, man, your team sticks around. You don't have to worry about as much attrition when you have a great company culture that people want to come to work every day, that they're going towards the same goal, that they feel like they have purpose when they go to work every day. That really keeps people and talent in place, because they again, you wake up every day and you're going to make something cool. I always think of it as like, one time I was building this little wall in front of my house, and I got so excited when I was done because I could look back and say, look, this is what I created. That purpose and that drive that kept me excited. And I feel it's the same way when you have that company culture. Your employees, your team members all come to work and they can look back and be like, look, this is where we were. This is where we're going. This is where we are. It's some exciting stuff. Stephen, if people want to reach out and they want to work with you, who's that ideal client you're looking for, and how can they get a hold of you?
Yeah, great question. So my ideal client is a business owner who wants to grow their business. Usually our sweet spot is sort of 10 to 250 employees, but I have some smaller clients than that and larger as well. But the big thing is it's about a mindset. It's about a mindset of being willing to be open and honest and vulnerable with yourself and with everybody else on the team. And also this mindset of really being more afraid of the status quo than you are of change, right? If you're scared about things staying the way they are in the business, and you're open to getting some help to move things forward, then let's have a conversation. So the best way to get a hold of me is to reach out through my email at steve.morris@eosworldwide.com. Or you can also find me on the web at eosworldwide.com and on LinkedIn, Stephen A. Morris. And we just start off with having a conversation about what is it that you want from your business, and we'll go from there.
And that's it, ladies and gentlemen. That's how it works. Look, every single one of us needs a mentor. We all need coaching. We all need people that have already achieved the level of success that we're shooting towards. And I always feel like if you're in that situation, you need to reach out to people like Steven and have that initial conversation. Because, yeah, granted, not every coach is for everybody, but you won't know unless you make that initial conversation so you can see where you're at. You can see what Steven is like, and maybe that could be one of those good connections that help your business go to that next level. So once again, his website, scrolling across the bottom, it's eosworldwide.com/Steven-Morris. You can email him directly, steven.morris@eosworldwide.com, or find him on LinkedIn. Steven A. Morris is the best way to reach out. Steven, thank you very much for coming on the program today, man. Any final thoughts before we head out?
No, I really appreciate this discussion. Great energy. And thank you so much for having me. I'm so grateful.
Of course, of course. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's all we got for this one. We'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace. And we're out.
It's over. Go home.
Is your business in need of marketing? Try starting a podcast. But not just any podcast. Podcast like a pro. We can show you how to take your business from being invisible to becoming a brand people trust. Go to www.businessbros.biz